This past Sunday, June 27th, saw boxing receive another shot in the arm in the most positive of manners when we saw a showdown between cruiserweights APOCHI and Brandon GLANTON. Let's talk boxing. What's good, YouTube? This is Stormy B-Man, and I'm back with a post-fight video editorial. Before we get started, I'd like to say shout out to the LDBC, the Lions Den boxing community, and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Wow. This past Sunday, June 27th, on a Fox PBC card broadcast Sunday evening, we saw a matchup in a co-main event for the David Morrell Cazares main event. This fight right here between cruiserweights APOCHI and Brandon GLANTON is definitely the type of boxing fare that fans love to see. And if you did not tune in to this match, ladies and gentlemen, you missed a barn burner. This is definitely the #1 fight of the year candidate between two gentlemen who entered the ring with everything to display and nothing to hold back on. It was the type of fight that takes you back to the fights of the 90s, when you saw the David Tuas and the Ike Abiabuchis, or the Ray Mercers and Tommy Morrisons. And though those were heavyweights, these two cruiserweights brought back memories of how boxing just scintilizes the fans at no end. APOCHI, who entered this battle with a record of 11-0 with 11 KOs, came in with the mindset, trained by Ronnie Shields, to go in and do damage, as he had been doing quietly, I might add, moving along the ranks in the cruiserweight division. This man has a chin of iron and also hammed fists of steel. This man came into the bout and looked to take his opponent out, as he had done so many before him, and who was going to think anything otherwise? But lo and behold, his opponent, Brandon GLANTON, came in with his own ideas of how this bout would turn out. GLANTON is a former football player who has decided to drop the sport of football and enter the ranks of boxing because that's where his heart was. And boy, did he show us on this evening that there is nothing further from the truth than he wanting to be a fighter, and he is a fighter by nature. It is in his blood. There are things I can say about him, and I will say about him. But GLANTON, he entered this bout with a record of 12-0 and 11 KOs, and he was not going to be denied on this night. He is one of the first professional athletes that I have seen come from a background in another sport. Particularly, you see basketball players and football players enter into boxing. This gentleman, coming from football and being a 300-pound lineman, had trimmed himself down to 200 pounds to box, and he looks the part. He is the most technically skilled fighter that I've seen come from another sport into the sport of boxing and be able to put that technique on display. Typically, you could see a bit of a difference in an athlete who was in another sport and he tries boxing late. This man must have been a fighter all his life, because he has his technique down. He throws his shots from the proper positions, and he is able to double up on shots and hooks to the body, hooks to the head, uppercuts, left hooks, right hands. He knows how to put his punches together. And he is powerful, he is strong as an ox, and he also has an iron chin. Also, an iron will constitution to go along. So guess what? This fight right here became every bit the entertainment that people long to see when they tune in for a boxing match. There was so much give and go in this fight that you could not help but feel the punches as these men were going at it. And let me say this, people, this was not an irresponsible slugfest of men just pounding each other into oblivion. No, this was technical. Although, from the standpoint of APOCHI, he being so defiant about his challenge against GLANTON that he was less defensively responsible than I would like to see. But I think what it was with him was that he was trying to show the machismo that you like to see a fighter show when he's under duress. But I will say this, if he tightens that up, he probably wins the fight. Okay, but he went in there, his defiance of what GLANTON had to offer, he was just being very dismissive, as if it wasn't hurting him. And it's always great in boxing to show the poker face. But GLANTON would still stay on top of him and do exactly what he needed to do. His punches were powerful. His pressure was great. He never let up from the pressure. Some points he got tired. He even got tagged a couple of times, but he remained more on point, trying to be defensive. And that was the difference between the two. However, when you talk about APOCHI, he has very heavy hands. He has very good boxing ability, and at moments when he was controlling the fight with his jab, it looked like it would keep him out ahead. But then his defensive lapses and his options to be defiant, as if, oh, you didn't hurt me, shaking your head and all of that, it led to moments in the fight where, just like this photo here, he took punches clean and snapping his head back where the audience could see this. And there was a moment where he was caught up against the ropes, and it looked exactly like GLANTON had him ready to go for the KO. And as I had discussed in my post-fight show with Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, shout out to Reggie, we talked about GLANTON having him against the ropes, knocking him out, and possibly waking him up with a follow-up shot. And then APOCHI just kept fighting back. It was an amazing point in the fight. You have to see it to believe it. And that, I believe, was the difference in this fight between these two men. if APOCHI had just elected to be more defensive minded, not let GLANTON get clean shots in on him, he would have fared far better. But this is the type of fight, oh my goodness, people, you have to go and tune in to this. Yes, it was a bit of a slugfest, but it was something that showed you about the iron will of both men, who had a competitive nature, spirit, and brazen bravado that you want to see out of fighters today that you're not seeing. This would make for a tremendous rematch, particularly if one of these men are able to garner a title. A title shot for one of them should be within the next year, and they are definitely crowd-pleasing fighters. This is the type of fight that you just don't want to miss. Go back, review it for yourself, and you will see exactly what Stormy B-Man is talking about. A battle of the ages between two cruiserweights. The cruiserweight division could be exciting once again with one of these leading the charge as a world champion. It could not be denied. This is what I like to see from boxing, and if we can get more of the fighters to understand, to challenge themselves, put themselves in against quality opposition, then you will find out who the real champions are. But for right now, GLANTON got the nod in this fight. It would behoove PBC to bring these men together again in a main event with a championship on the line down the line. Let me know what your thoughts are, particularly after you've seen this fight. It is something that you can talk about for the rest of the year. Definitely the #1 fight of the year candidate is this, APOCHI versus GLANTON. This is Stormy B-Man. That's all I have for you at this time. Leave comments. Let's discuss. Let's keep our heads to the sky. With fights like this, boxing is in great shape. This is all I have for you now. Until the next time we speak, peace. Everyone remain safe and enjoy these fights.